Well, boa noite, Munson here with the Portugal show from Expats Portugal, and welcome to another Expat Chat. A real treat for you tonight. I have controversially called Coimbra the heart of Portugal, and I can explain before any Portuguese people get upset about that. We will attempt to justify that claim tonight. I think there is a historical basis for it, and my special guest is Sara Cruz, who is with us to an absolute authority on Coimbra. She of the Go Walks, who we featured on our morning show some time ago, and prolific YouTube film creator as well now. Check out her Go Walks Portugal YouTube channel, and do please subscribe to that. Let me tell you a little bit about Sara and indeed our service, Ask Our Expats, which is fairly new to expatsportugal.com. But there's a friendly team of people, and they've been hand-selected to help you find your dream lifestyle in Portugal. So that's pretty straightforward, isn't it? And they are experts on their part of Portugal and the Portugal lifestyle. And they'll show you around the place that you're considering as your new home. They'll tell you about the facilities, sports and leisure, whatever your specialist interests are, and they can help you with researching real estate and land and so on. And, of course, let you know about the important things like healthcare, what life is really like in the community, annual events, that sort of thing. And of course, you can just really hear from a person who knows the territory, rather than reading a dry book or looking at resources on the internet. You can speak to a real life person from that part of Portugal with experience of that part of Portugal. And here, of course, zooming in on Coimbra, you have Sara, who is... she runs her own business, of course, as Go Walks. She speaks English, she speaks Spanish, of course, she speaks Portuguese, and her interests are in travel herself, World Heritage sites. And she also, I found out recently, a fun fact about her, or a secret about her, that she is a singer and a musician as well. Into conscious living and traveling, human and animal rights. So let's bring her onto the screen right now, and we'll have a lovely expat chat with Sara Cruz. Good evening to you, Sara. How are you?
Hello, how are you? I'm fine, thank you so much.
Oh, it's good to have you
Everyone
here.
is watching is fine as well.
Yes, I reckon they are. And I think the questions will be coming in about Coimbra, because I've said in the show notes that I think it's fast becoming a really good choice as a base camp for exploration of all of Portugal. I mean, it's a great place to settle in its own right. I'm sure you'll be telling us that. But if you're not sure about where you want to be in Portugal, and you're coming for the first time to really consider it as a home, there's no better place, I think, than to stick a flag in the ground and make Coimbra your base camp, so that you can get all over the country fairly easily, and you can head east as well as going west to the coast, and you'll have a great time in Coimbra as well. Would you agree with that?
Yes, sure. And that's why I live here. And I really never moved away from here. I didn't feel the need to do so.
Yeah.
I love traveling and knowing other realities. I have friends living all around Portugal as well. But there's no other place I would rather be than in Coimbra. So I think it's a great place, not only as a starting point to visit, or like a base, as you were saying, but also for people who like living in a city, but close to the countryside and with the countryside feel to it as well.
Yeah. And I noticed when I was there, I mean, it's the city in Portugal I go to most. I live in a small town, but when I need a big city experience and some of the facilities of a big city, Coimbra is closest for us. We could go to Aveiro, we could go to Porto even, and well, we could make the trip to Lisbon. But Coimbra has all we need, and it has the city vibe. But as I think you're saying there, it's very friendly as well. The last time I was there, I noticed people live in the city, don't they? It's not one of those strange cities that you get, like in London, for example. There are parts of London that go quiet at the end of the day. Coimbra is a living city, isn't it? Pretty much 24 hours a day. I saw school children in the centre of town, and parents and workers. It's a real place.
Yeah, with the exception of a few streets in the downtown, that in the late 90s, people started moving a little further away to the outskirts of the city and to places like Condeixa, which is just 15 minutes drive from here. It's kind of like a sleeping area, but they have everything there as well. And so the downtown was pretty empty for a while, but these last years we've seen people trying to go back to the historical centers, especially people that are either are retired, yes, they are retired, or they are young people like me, like couples, to have that neighborhood feel of
Mm,
living, like knowing all your neighbors and saying hello to everyone in the morning. you
I
know,
love it.
if you need something to cook, like knock on your neighbor's door and ask for the ingredient you are missing, things like that. And so people are going back to the historical center, and now we're seeing more buildings being restored and more streets with more dynamics. But I would say that some streets in the downtown still need people there. So if you want to live in the heart of the city, we're going to see, obviously the prices in a few years are going to go up
Mhm.
over there. And I'm sure that that area of the city is going to have a very nice vibe to it. So for investors, it's a great place as well.
Well, that's interesting. You've given us a real estate investment tip already, but I think I think you're right. It's a really wise investment, isn't it? Downtown Coimbra at the moment.
Yeah.
That's really good to know. We've got a few people. We have Joel listening in Porto tonight, who's saying "boa noite" to us. There's a little bit of rivalry possibly between Coimbra and Porto here, Matosinhos in particular. So let's see how that goes. Eric is here from North Carolina in the States. Not looking forward, but aware of a curfew that begins on Friday, actually, in North Carolina, until January the 8th. Incredible, isn't it? What's happening all around the world? Getting
Yeah.
better in Portugal, we have to say. It's looking a lot more positive in Portugal, which is good news. And Eric has actually made contact to say he's looking forward to the show tonight, as Coimbra is on the shortlist. So maybe we see if we can get it to the top of that shortlist tonight, Sara. And hi, Sara from Cheryl Meaning. I'm coming over to Coimbra this spring. Where is a must for me to visit, please? We'll definitely come back to that as well. But first,
Yeah.
maybe,
Hi, Cheryl.
yeah, we should maybe
I was
establish.
saying hi.
Oh, yeah, great. We should establish your expert credentials. Why don't you tell us a little bit about Go Walks and what you've been doing in Coimbra for the last few years?
Yes, so I started, well, I worked in other things. Once I graduated, I studied at the University of Coimbra, a course called Tourism, Leisure and Heritage, which is a UNESCO certified degree. So we have mainly history, geography, languages. And my passion was always history. So when I finished my degree at university, I really didn't get a job. I tried to apply to jobs in the areas of tourism in city halls, in museums, and so on. And I couldn't find anything. I worked for a while in different things. And one of the works that captured my heart was in a cultural association called Fado ao Centro, which is
Mhm.
here in the city center of Coimbra. It's an association that does many things connected with music, and one of them is Fado shows every day, Fado of Coimbra. And once I was doing an internship there. Once I finished my internship, I wanted to do something connected with interacting with travelers and promoting the city a little bit more. I was a little sad to see people going down the street every day and telling me, "Oh, I visited the university and now there's nothing else to do, so I'm going away." And I was really frustrated. I wanted to stay chatting with them and kind of guiding the tour from there already. Obviously, that wasn't very good for my bosses. So um, they wanted me to sell photo tickets, obviously, and I wanted to promote the city. So when I ended the internship, I decided that the only way for me to do that was by creating my own company, because there were other tourism companies in the city, but mostly working with big groups. And that
Mhm.
wasn't my point. I wanted to do something a little bit more personal. and customize the services a little bit more and create also different themed tours. So not like doing the same thing all over again, which many guides do with groups, which is visiting the university inside, go down the Quebra Costas, which is one of the main streets, visit the main pedestrian street, maybe Santa Cruz, and then go away. And that wasn't really what I wanted to do. So I started the company, took a big breath, and started in 2012 in the middle of like a big economical crisis at the time. I had nothing. I had 500 euros to open the company, and I put on 3 years of hard work without a paycheck in order to make the company function. Fortunately, I had my parents supporting me, so that was the best. And my husband was also very understanding with the situation. So yeah, and it went well. You know, after 3 years, it started going okay. In 2015, I also started guiding tours outside of Coimbra. I got a vehicle and started driving people around central Portugal. So there's many cities I know really, really well. Like you were saying, Aveiro, Tomar, Batalha, Alcobaça, Nazaré, Óbidos, all that area between basically Lisbon and Porto, I know quite well, like the palm of my hands. Not only because I am from here and I knew those cities already. We used to go there in field trips, not only at school, but then at university as well. So we studied a lot about those places. Then also because I did lots of research connected with those places to know it really well in order to do my guided tours there. So I'm very familiar not only with Coimbra, but with other places surrounding it. And that's why I think I really, really like working also with foreigners that want to come and be Portuguese as well. I live in Portugal. I really want to help people like discovering the essence of Portugal, of this region, and wanting to come here. I hear a lot of people saying, "Oh, I'm going to live in Cascais." It seems like Cascais is the word for most people who are looking forward to live in Portugal. But that's really not the only option, people. So actually, if you ask a Portuguese person, usually Cascais is associated with like very wealthy people, like the jet set, like of Portugal. It's really, really expensive for us Portuguese, most of the Portuguese people, obviously. And so it's beautiful. It's a beautiful place, no doubt about it. But if you're looking to live a life spending less money and kind of have a better bank account to travel around and experience other things, I think that Central Portugal is an amazing place because it's central. And it's really easy to move around. It's you have the comfort of cities, but you also have the quietness and the relaxed pace of kind of the country.
Oh, I think you've frozen up a bit there. But I absolutely agree with you there. And this is the website that we're showing on the screen now is the business you talked about, which is Go Walks. And there's two lovely views of Coimbra there. The one on the right I recognize. What's the one on the left there?
So the one on the right was the street I was telling you about, the one that people go down from the university.
Yes.
Where the Fado Association is. It's those doors on the left side that are open are the Fado Association. The one on the left was taken in Quintas Lágrimas Garden. So it's a huge fig tree, an Australian fig tree that exists there. It's probably 200 years old, something like that. And I'm there. I'm really little on the side of the tree. But yeah, I had a photographer, a friend of mine. She's from Aveiro, and she came to Coimbra and around central Portugal last year, because we redid the website. So she was taking pictures all around, and there weren't many people, so she was like, go to the pictures. She caught me there below the tree.
Great. Really beautiful pictures, and yeah. So you for the business there that Sara was talking about starting in 2012. That's GoWalksPortugal.com, which I think deserves all of our support. And it's absolutely right. I think what you're saying about Central Portugal, Sara, is it's overlooked, isn't it? And I'm sure you as well as the frustration of people walking down that one street and then going. There is this frustration with Portugal and visitors, isn't there, that they tend to only come to, well, the traditional short stay is what, maybe to fly into Porto and leave from Lisbon and have a day or two in each, or vice versa. And that misses out so many treasures and pleasures and treats, doesn't it, in the rest of Portugal?
Yeah, exactly. I think that Lisbon and Porto are really well promoted abroad. And so people don't know that Central Portugal has so many interesting things to visit. So they end up by visiting the main things they know about. And in Coimbra, it's the university. So because we have trains connecting Lisbon with Porto directly, and they can make a stop in Coimbra, they probably think, oh, let's get out of the train. We kind of spend a few hours here, see the university, and then go away and continue to Porto or to Lisbon. And this happens. And so that affects, it not only affects people that have a job in tourism over here, but it affects the businesses in the downtown, in the uptown as well, because people don't consume. They buy the tickets to university. That's the money they basically spend in the city and go away. And we have, actually today I was working on a video about Coimbra Condeixa ceramics. And we have beautiful arts and crafts, which this region is known for over here. So for people who are interested, once again, I said in music already, like in Fado, for example, but people also interested in arts and crafts. This is an amazing place to discover and to live if some people that are searching for a home want to continue on working in these areas or have contact with these areas of knowledge.
Brilliant. So I'm looking at your site still. This is all the wonderful stuff you do. This is, well, obviously when we're not restricted, but the Fado show, you can have a tour, which includes the Fado show there. The last time I was up there, there's an amazing ice cream shop next door, isn't there, to that performance venue?
It is.
And I was getting some ice cream with my kids. Cozy, I think it's called, isn't it? And
it's
the
called
guy,
Cozy.
yeah, the guy in the Fado venue gave me a postcard, and it looks so beautiful as you look through it, so atmospheric. And I think there was a show starting around 6 o'clock, and he invited me in. I couldn't stay that night, but it looks like such a lovely experience. As well as Fado of Coimbra, you've got the UNESCO World Heritage and tour of the university there. That's a must see. Going back to Cheryl's question, the Riverside and Tales of Love. We'll come back to that with my not confrontational, slightly contentious claim that Coimbra was. Maybe it's confrontational as well. That Coimbra is the heart of Portugal, and of course you do a UNESCO World Heritage tour of the city as well. You take people further afield to Penela, Tomar, and Almorol, which is, those are the driving tours, presumably, to Coimbra and Alcobaça, a combined trip, Fatima, Nazaré, and here where I live, Barrada Vineyards, the Aliança Museum, which is absolutely amazing, and the Vista Alegre factory in Avira, of course, and tailored. You can make bespoke tours for people, which is absolutely wonderful. So this thing then of the heart of Portugal. Did I speak out of turn? We do have some questions coming in. We'll come to those in just a moment, folks. But I need to clear this up with Sara. Did I speak out of turn by calling it the heart of Portugal?
I'm kind of twisting and turning here on the seat because that's such a hard question.
Okay.
Yeah, well, it is central. Yeah, it has lots of diversity, and it's connected with a tragic 14th century tale of love that even gave the name to Coimbra. People know Coimbra as the capital of love in Portugal.
Okay.
And it's where our nationality started. Basically, it's where the first king was when he declared Portugal a kingdom. It was the first capital of Portugal before Lisbon. Um, we also had other cities outside continental Portugal as capitals, because the kings, where they were was where the capital was. And during the French invasions, they moved to Brazil. So Rio de Janeiro was
Wow.
for capital. Ponta Delgada in Azores Island was also for a little while. I think it was a short
Nice,
period of
that's
time.
amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, we're always learning.
Yeah.
And so during the French invasions, Portugal's capital basically for a little while was in Rio de Janeiro in Brazil. But Coimbra was for more than 100 years capital. And then the kings moved to Lisbon, and it went to Lisbon with them. We don't have a legal document, unlike other European cities, saying that Lisbon is the capital of Portugal.
Really?
So, yeah, we don't have that document. Obviously, the parliament is there, so it's
Yeah.
where the capital is.
Wow, fascinating. Okay, so I'm going to say yes. I'm not going to ask you to say yes, but I'm going to say yes, the heart of Portugal. But that's all fascinating stuff. And going back to the earlier comment, whether there was any city rivalry, Joel says not really. It's more between Porto and the capital rather than with Coimbra. Love it or leave, which I imagine is a travel channel. Says Coimbra, such a beautiful city, one of my favorites in Portugal. Let us know more about you. Love it or leave. And we'll come back to your question, Cheryl, about the must-see places, obviously, because Sara knows all of those. Marcos Valbon, boa noite a todos. Coimbra has beautiful gardens and the food is so good as well. Yeah, the botanical garden is fantastic. Cheryl is asking, are go walks on Facebook, Cheryl? Sara.
Yes.
Okay,
Facebook, Instagram, YouTube.
everywhere.
It's if you write "Go Walks Portugal,"
Yeah.
you will find us. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Fantastic. Boa noite from others from North Carolina. Andrew and Lauren here again from North Carolina. You're so welcome tonight, Andrew and Lauren, to find out more about Coimbra. I think that's on your list as well. Coimbra says Cogahuia, if I pronounce that correctly, is one of our choices. Are there any specific areas around Coimbra we should look at to purchase property? Let's hold that for one moment. Marcos Valbon, Lamego have a really good prosciutto. Everyone has to visit this town before COVID-19 ends, maybe next year. Lamega, where is that? Where is he talking about, Sara?
Lamego. Lamego is in the north.
Okay. Hey, come on. We're talking about Coimbra tonight. Stop sneaking in another place.
Lamego is a beautiful city, but it's in the north. I also have a friend living there.
Okay. I think, Marcos, you'll have to come on and talk to us about that specifically. It's like everybody from North Carolina is here. Cogahuia is here from North Carolina as well. That's a remarkable coincidence. So staying with North Carolina. Eric J asked the question, I don't plan on having a car. How is public transport in Coimbra?
Yeah. So public transport functions quite well. We have trains and buses to the city and from the city elsewhere. Within the city, you also have public transportation. So it's really easy to move around. There's buses everywhere. But the city is really nice to walk as well. So if you're not in a hurry, or if it isn't raining, which we don't have much rain, so it's okay. You can walk around pretty easily. If you have a bicycle, Coimbra is investing a lot of money this past year in bike lanes all around the city. Right now, we already have 20 kilometers of bike lanes around the city. And the plan is to continue on all the way to the ocean, to Figueira da Foz. So we'll have more than 40 kilometers of bike lanes for people to ride the bicycle around. Coimbra is quite hilly, so it's really nice to walk the bicycle and go back and forward. If you find a house along the river or close to the riverside, so where most bike lanes are located. But if you live within the historical center, which is a hill, and then there's houses around it, it's really easy to walk around. So there's not much trouble with public transportation over here. I personally really don't use the car within the city. I use it to go out, but I don't like to use the car a lot as well, so I'm suspicious to talk about that.
Okay, well, no, fair enough. I've driven into Coimbra many times and through Coimbra, and found it very easy to do that and to park and so on. Yeah, so I think all round transport wise, you're going to be fine, Eric, in Coimbra. Connections then to the international airports and to the other major cities of Portugal. How is it placed in that respect, Sara?
It's quite good. You have the trains, the Alfa Pendular and the intercity train, both to Porto and to Lisbon. Yeah. Upon arrival in Porto, you get out in the train station, in the main train station, and you have metro all the way to the airport, which isn't in Porto. It's in a city called Maia, M-A-I-A. But so it's really easy, very, very easy to get there. Lisbon, the same thing. You have train all the way to Gare do Oriente, and then you get out in Gare do Oriente to the metro, and you have the metro to the airport. Yeah. It's simple, yeah.
And actually, when you're a tourist still and you're new to the country, they're both very interesting journeys as well, aren't they?
Yes, they are. It's really nice.
The Orient Station in Lisbon is incredible in its own right. So yeah, you'll have a great adventure just coming to and from the airport. Steve Welton also here tonight, saying hi from Chicago. Always good to hear more about Coimbra. Evening, Sara from Chile, Florida tonight, and Doreen Reyes is here. We're on the platform that you prefer, Doreen, I reckon, tonight. Obrigado from Maryland in the US. Good to know about the bike lanes. I lived in Amsterdam for the last 2 years, so biking is key for me. So Coimbra being a good choice. Let's go to the that property question from, I hope I've got this right, Cogahuia. Would you say that, Sara? How would you pronounce that?
The same thing, Cogahuia.
Coimbra is one of our choices. Are there any specific areas around Coimbra we should look at to purchase property? So you said that you thought downtown was going to be an incredible investment. I agree with you on that. But where else should Cogahuia look?
Yeah, well, it always depends in the budget you have, and if you like to live closer to city parks or to live within the most urbanized area of the city, meaning the area of Solum or Val das Flores, which is an area that has lots of tall apartment buildings. And lots of schools and shopping malls and everything. So it's a very busy area of the city. So if you prefer a quieter area, closer to the city parks, closer to the river, you would need to look for the area surrounding the historical center or within the historical center, or across the river in the left bank of the river in Santa Clara, which is where I lived until last year. So last year I moved to the other side of the river, but it's really nice. And then it will always depend in the budget you have, in the kind of apartment or house you are looking for. But yeah, there are
I see.
many options.
Well, that's how I have it. I mean, you've known it all your life, haven't you? And you have a very particular and a very fond relationship, obviously, with Coimbra. To me, as somebody who's only known it for the last 2 or 3 years, it's really interesting how, to me, and tell me if this is right or wrong. My perception of it as a newcomer to Coimbra is there's like, as you come in on the road or the train, actually, you see the historic part and the two sides of the river. So there you see Santa Clara you're talking about, and there's some very beautiful parts of Santa Clara, aren't there, and tourist attractions on that side of the river, and you can walk across two beautiful bridges, the pedestrian footbridge and the roadway, and there's great things to do both sides, and obviously you come over to the historical centre and you go up the hill. But more recently, there's a whole other part of Coimbra on the other side of the hill of the historical centre, right? So there seems to be 3 concentrations of population, you know, the left and the right bank of the river, and then this hidden part on the other side of the hill, which has also beautiful aspects to it, like the Alma Centre and the football ground. They're hidden on the other side of the hill, aren't they?
Yeah, the first video I did to YouTube, to the YouTube channel of Go Walks Portugal, I show that landscape because I did the footage in a very beautiful city park called Penedo da Saudade. And all the area that you can see from there is an area that started growing mostly from the 50s of the last century. And that's because within the historical center, the area that we know nowadays as the university area, so campus 1 of the university, there were many, many houses that were demolished over there to these huge buildings that are the main faculties of the university. And the population that lived there was forcibly moved to the side of the hill.
Okay.
And a new neighborhood was created called Norton de Matos. Nowadays, Norton de Matos is a really, really pleasant neighborhood to live in. There's beautiful individual houses over there with a garden, backyard, really, really nice. It's a lovely neighborhood with cafes in the center where everyone meets at the end of the day and during the night as well. And the city naturally from the 50s on started growing around that neighborhood with these bigger apartment buildings that we're talking about. So they're buildings with 10, 12, 13 floors, more or less. Those are big buildings for us. So for people that usually come from big cities in the United States, for example, or even bigger cities in Europe, they're not tall. But we don't have usually taller buildings than 13 floors, more or less. Some of them seem taller because they're on top of the hill. So you have the hill, and then you have the buildings along the hill. But this is the area that more and has all the malls and the soccer stadium and everything concentrated. And lots of people really love living here. Kids, for example, because they're close to everything, just a short walk from their home. So once again, they don't need to use the car to go anywhere. And then on weekends, they go for a walk within the historical center to the typical restaurants or something, which is it's not very far away from here. It's just a 15, 20-minute walk through very beautiful avenues and parks. So it's very comfortable.
Very good. And you could obviously get an Uber or a bus to make the journey to either side of the river and back to that part of town that you're talking about.
Yeah. Sure.
I noticed it struck me when I really like, I'm not very keen on shopping malls, but I have to say in Portugal, shopping malls are so much better than in the UK where I'm from. And it's actually quite a pleasure to go. I never thought I'd ever hear myself saying that it'd be a pleasure to go to a shopping mall. But both the Coimbra Forum and the Alma Centre especially, the scale of it is really appropriate and enjoyable. And I noticed at the Alma Centre, there are some very fashionable people as well, aren't there? Is that where the kind of the academic and the fashionable people live in that part of Coimbra? Because I went there, you know, not in my Sunday best. I was going with the kids to the shopping mall, and I noticed that the people were dressed very elegantly in that shopping centre, in the coffee shops and the bookshops around there. There was one bookshop where I noticed a lot of people very smartly dressed, and they looked like Parisians.
I already saw a person in her pajamas there, so
There's everybody. Okay, there's everybody there. We're getting some love coming in for your tours, and I've got
no,
your
but
YouTube channel up there as well. Sorry, did I interrupt you there? I beg your pardon.
no, but I was just I saw a person in her pajamas, but you know, this area is because it's the most modern area of the city, and it's the area where there's lots of businesses and schools and everything. And also it's not very far away from the hospital and things like that. So you have people that are a little bit more wealthy living in this area of the city. So you may see people that are better dressed than, for example, within the historical center or in the downtown. Yeah.
I was very impressed. I felt underdressed. I thought this is really, you know, sleek and elegant here. It's fantastic.
Yeah, but it's a nice shopping mall. It's actually, I also don't like shopping malls a lot. My favorite one because it's not too big and too crowded.
That's right.
Fórum is a little crowded depending on the days.
Yes.
On days everyone goes there, but shopping is very nice. It's quiet.
Yes. Yeah. And it's the Alma Centre, which is soul, isn't it, in Portuguese?
Yeah.
Yep, fantastic. So Jerry took a tour with you a few months ago and learned so much about Coimbra. Sara, he says, is so knowledgeable and enthusiastic about all things Portugal. We look at this, the high point, I think, for Jerry, possibly. We finished the tour in a fabulous tapas bar. That's great, Jerry. Thank you. Botar from Frank, and also in the team of Ask Our Expats, who gave us a guide along with Rachel to Lisbon on Monday. That's on our YouTube channel as well. He says it's nice to see us, and he looks forward to seeing you in Coimbra because although they've enjoyed Lisboa, they're heading towards Coimbra. They've discovered the magic of Coimbra for sure. More questions then. Let's find these questions. Before we do that, Fiona says, loving looking at your Facebook Go Walks. I think, I don't know what that means, but I think she might be subscribing to you or liking your page there. And I urge everyone else to do the same. You can see Sara's YouTube channel here. Please subscribe to that. I think every subscription helps, and we'd be very grateful for that tonight. Doreen asks a great question. Does the university provide events, activities, and/or continuing education opportunities for residents of the city, as well as students, obviously?
Yeah. So the university, obviously, it's a community, and they do have lots of events that make part of the academic living, which are open to everyone that wants to participate. We have two major events in the city every year. Which are in October and in May. In October is kind of a party celebrating the freshmen, so it's kind of welcome them in the city, and it's an entire week of different traditions that happen around the streets, city. And then there's concerts every night for an entire week in the city park, and that is open to public. Anyone can buy the general pass. They have a cheaper pass for every single night that you can go and see. Not only with concerts of national bands and international bands, but they also have the typical music groups of the university performing there. And then in May, we have Queima das Fitas, which is the burning of the ribbons festivity. It is a festivity that mainly is a celebration for people who are going to graduate that year, but all the students participate from the first grade till the last one. And it's the biggest students' festivity in the country. We have
Wow.
35,000 students of the university, and they're not the only ones who participate in this. All their friends come, all the families come. So it can be quite hectic and crazy during that week. And we also have concerts for 7 nights in a row.
Wow.
If you leave park, you are not going to sleep much during that week. Because there is concerts till like 4 a.m. and then there's DJs till 6 a.m. and then there's the students that are drunk screaming at your door and like just for fun.
Brilliant.
Yeah, but it's just 1 week. The best thing is to party with them, and that's it.
Of course.
And
Portuguese people
then
know how to
there's
love.
yeah, and then there's lots of congresses, conferences that you can participate on. Coimbra was considered a few years ago. There was a study to check which city of Portugal would be more friendly for people who were retired. And Coimbra was voted number one because the city that has lots of activities and on that people can also have like senior universities. There's lots of associations. There's lots of and I'm also involved with this. There's lots of associations for animal rights. Also, you can do lots of volunteer work as well. So there's never doing anything in Coimbra. If you want to be active, you will stay active.
Oh, there you go, Doreen. That's great, and all of this obviously revolving around the university and the associated organisations. Picking up on that, so in terms of animal rights, vegetarianism, veganism, it sounds like it's a pretty good bet for people of that kind of interest. Yeah.
We don't have in Coimbra. We don't options, but the ones that we have are good, and I am 100% sure that we'll have even more options once this situation of the COVID starts going away.
Yeah.
Because lots of people that are vegan in Coimbra open their own businesses as well, and so there's lots of things that are going to happen in the couple of years, I would say. But we have good options. First of all, nowadays it's really easy. I have a friend, he's vegetarian for 20 years now, and he says that when he started being vegetarian, he couldn't find food or anything. That was very specific. Obviously, you would find vegetables in the supermarket and grains and beans, but that was it. And nowadays you can also find all sorts of fast food and chorizo options and farinheiras and alheiras as well. Markets everywhere, and we have a few stores that sell cereals and everything by weight. So you take your own bottles and you weight them and you pay there. So very eco-friendly.
Fantastic.
Detergents at home and things like that. And then we have also a few restaurants that are really good.
Brilliant, absolutely brilliant. And Fiona says you're on the list next year. Hopefully, I don't know if that's you or Coimbra or both, but certainly that's a good idea, Fiona. Andrew and Lauren, we want to experience Portuguese culture and meet people as much as we can when we move. So we've been looking at Porto to be in an area with lots to see in walking distance. How does that compare to Coimbra?
Yeah, I have family living in Porto.
Okay.
Porto is a much bigger city. So the scale of the city is a little bit over personally. But if you like bigger cities, Porto is really, really good. let's say they have also more bigger cities around Porto, like Gaia, just across the river, and to the north of Porto, like Matosinhos. Yeah, and the north is really, really different. First of all, it's usually 2 or 3 degrees cooler than here. So if you like go a little bit more to the south than to the north. It's a good city. I'm going to say anything bad about Porto? Not at all, because I really love Porto, but I wouldn't live there.
Okay. All
Here,
right. Well,
we have everything, but it's quieter.
yeah, I think it's a matter of scale, then, isn't it, for Andrew and Lauren? And you need to check it out for yourselves. So either be based in one or the other, but make sure you visit the other one wherever you end up, because I think it's well worth making the comparison on the ground. Marcos mentions the Portugal dos Pequenitos, with small houses for young kids, and only kids can get inside this model village. So that brings us to the first question that was asked tonight from Cheryl. What are the must-see things to do in Coimbra, Sara? Who better to ask than you?
Yes, we can start with Portugal dos Pequenitos. It was my kindergarten, so I was a happy kid there. Yeah. But it's also, nowadays, it's open to public. It's kind of a national park. I wouldn't say monument, because the idea is to recreate the main monuments of Portugal on a small scale. So you learn a lot about Portuguese culture, history, and the main buildings when you go there. It's not only a place for children, it's also a place for adults who want to be a little bit more curious and find out more about Portugal, but also the colonies overseas, because there is a part of the park only dedicated to that. Around Portugal dos Pequenitos, you have the monasteries of Santa Clara Nova, and Santa Clara Velha. Really, really beautiful and interesting. And you also have a newly restored Congress and Center and Concert Hall called Convent of St. Francis, and that is restaurants and ice cream.
Sorry, we had a bit of a well, I don't know if everybody experienced that, but had a bit of a breakdown in your or my communication there, or the bandwidth didn't support us. So carry on. Sorry.
Yes. So I was mentioning the areas around. What's the last thing you heard? I don't know.
The monasteries, for sure. Oh, what a shame! It's breaking up a bit. I'll just read this comment from Andrew and Lauren, who think they should take a closer look at Coimbra. We honestly don't like big cities, but sounds like there's still a lot to see in Coimbra. Yeah, I don't think you'll be disappointed, Andrew and Lauren, with Coimbra. And when you talked in your earlier question about meeting Portuguese people and being with Portuguese people, the scale is right, I think, in Coimbra for feeling like you're part of things rather than like a tourist or an expat on the outside looking in. I think it's a very sort of convivial and friendly city for sure. Antonio, thank you for that. Yeah, so we are having a bit of a sound breakdown. We are coming towards the end, and of course you can book Sara directly via our Ask Our Expats Portugal.com pages, our website, and just go to the Ask Our Expats feature and you'll find Sara there. Featured among the team, and she's not strictly speaking an expat. She's better than an expat because she has lived in and loves Coimbra to the core of her, as you've heard tonight. And let's see if our connection's holding up. So yes, more must sees, if you wouldn't mind, Sara, as we conclude tonight for Coimbra.
Yes, I hope you can hear me now. It's breaking a little bit. But internet problems. So other than those monuments on the left bank of the river, and I would mention also Quinta das Lágrimas garden that we've seen in the picture previously, have obviously university.
Mhm.
really important. The botanical garden as well, and the cathedrals. We have two cathedrals, the old one and the new one within the historical center. Another church that I think is really beautiful and very important to visit is Santa Cruz Church in the downtown. It's where the two first kings of Portugal are buried.
Oh.
And I need to mention this because usually people never come here with enough time to visit it. But Machado de Castro Museum is a very important national museum that has a Roman cryptoporticus, which is basically a system of underground tunnels from the Roman times. And it's a museum that was restored and reopened to public when I opened the company in 2012. And it is spectacular. It has 5 floors of not only Roman tunnels and things that were found there, excavations, but it has lots of art, sacred art, tapestry, gold, precious stones, furniture. So it's really, really important, and I would say come with time, spend some Castro. If you come on a day that it's raining and it's not Monday, because national museums are always closed on Mondays all around Portugal, not only in Coimbra. Okay,
That's a good tip.
but if it's not a Monday, yeah, if it's not a Monday, spend some time there, like an entire morning, literally. And there's also a restaurant there, so you can have something to eat.
Fantastic. And you can walk. Can you go in the tunnels underground?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
It's 2 floors. It's I cannot describe it well because it's great.
Out of this world by the sound of it. Incredible.
Huge tunnels, very, very wide because they needed the carriages with the horses to go through.
What? How extraordinary.
Narrow tunnel that goes like from one side to the other of the cryptoporticus with compartments, like little storage areas where they would storage products to sell in the shops of the forum of the city center. And that is completely intact. We also have part of the Roman road that crosses the city. There's a restaurant.
Sounds incredible. Right.
Yeah, and it's really incredible, and you really need to visit this. But there are so many things to see in Coimbra. I would say these are the main ones, though.
Sure. No, you've definitely whet our appetite there. That's fantastic. Just to show everybody, maybe we should have started with this, but putting Coimbra on the map, as it were, of Portugal. There, that's I guess that's a district, isn't it, of Coimbra? Which, of course, people should know. It's not just a city, is it? It's Coimbra district as well, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's quite big. And Coimbra is the main city, but then you have smaller towns surrounding it, and then you have lots of little villages, really very countryside-y.
Yeah.
More to the east, so more to the mountains, and in half an hour you're in the mountain, and also to the west, all the way to the ocean, which is also kind of half an hour drive, really. So I'm like halfway between the mountains and the ocean. Where should I go? Today I go here, tomorrow I go there.
Amazing. Because
yeah.
you mentioned Figueira da Foz is the obvious choice to go to the coast. Is that what? Does it take 30 minutes to get to Fig da Foz?
Mm-hmm. Figueira da Foz is the main 40 minutes drive. We have highway there, but it's really nice going through the countryside. That's tip. I have a video of a road trip there, so if you,
Fantastic.
it's 2-part video.
Yeah,
yeah.
And if you don't want to go all the way to the Atlantic, you can go to Penacova, right, which is the river beach nearest to the city. I think that I went there a couple of months ago for the first time. Could you tell us a little bit about Penacova, the river beach, because that's amazing too?
So this is stopping again. But you were mentioning a river beach. I heard that.
Yeah.
We have one in the city center. We have one in the city center. It's called Rebolim.
Oh, okay.
But then there is another one going to Penacova as well, which there's buses connecting to this beach, Casal da Miserela. But then there's so many. If you go to the mountains, just half an hour drive from here, I have 2 videos about 2 of those places. It's amazing. You have so many options. It's really crazy.
Oh, superb. Okay, well, we are losing a little bit, I think, the connection. But you've been such fantastic value and such a brilliant ambassador and advocate for Coimbra tonight. And there you are on our Ask Our Expats pages there, expatsportugal.com, and that's where you can book a one-to-one consultancy with Sara, who will do the work on the ground for you here. Obviously, it's very difficult for people in North America to be in Portugal to do their research. Who better? You've had a personal introduction to Sara tonight, and you can book her on our website at expatsportugal.com. Sara, you have been amazing. Thank you so much for being here tonight, and look forward to maybe having a glass of, what's the traditional drink in Coimbra? If we were to meet up and have a drink, what should we be drinking? Oh, I hope we haven't lost her for good, because that would be a terrible cliffhanger to have.
Hello.
Yes, you're there. You've got to tell us the answer to that.
I am still here.
Okay, brilliant.
Yeah. I don't know what's happening, but because it shows that I have full connection.
Yeah, well, I just had one very important and last question for you. If we meet up for a drink in Coimbra, what ideally should we be drinking to represent the city?
Oh, to represent the city. Okay. Licor Beirão.
Okay, so we will share a Licor Beirão one evening in Coimbra. That's fantastic. Safiro, sorry, go on, carry on.
It's not Coimbra, but it's made nearby, and it's kind of what represents the spirit of Coimbra region.
Literally. Fantastic. Thank you very much, Sara. Coimbra, of course, which was briefly mentioned in Condeixa, incredible Roman, historical Roman. We shouldn't call them ruins, should we? But you know, the remains of Roman life, very near to Coimbra as well. Cheers all from up the road in Porto. That's actually Tammy who says thank you, Sara. Appreciate all the info. And from Eric, great show, Carl. Thanks to Sara for all the invaluable information. Have a nice evening, everyone. I'll extend that to all of you, and I thoroughly endorse Eric's message, and say thanks again to you, Sara. Boa noite. Ciao, ciao.
Thank you so much.
Ciao, ciao.